Greetings, Acolytes! Today I want to talk about something very close to my heart, EVE Online. A space MMORPG known lovingly as Spreadsheet Simulator, that scam simulator, that game that sometimes breaks gaming headlines, and that game that plays like a second job. More specifically though, I want to talk about why the game is slowly dying and no new people are joining to play. I'll talk about the game itself, why no one is joining, and alongside that, why everyone is leaving. EVE Online, as I said before, is a space MMORPG set in New Eden, a star cluster discovered to be on the other side of a wormhole. Thousands of years ago, humans came to the star cluster and colonized, relying on trade back with Earth to sustain themselves. However, one day the wormhole to Earth closed, causing the people of New Eden to fall back into a dark age. Thousands of years later, four major powers emerged. Amarr, a religious empire built on slavery, Minmatar, a more tribal empire that were used as said slaves, Caldari, which is basically just a megacorp, and Gallente, an industrial federation. You play as a Capsuleer, a human who's specially able to have their consciousness sent through clones. You're able to merge your mind with the ship and pilot it like an extension of yourself. As such, Capsuleers are now the ones who hold the fate of New Eden. The gameplay is very complex, and that's due to the multiple ways to interact with the universe and play the game. The first and most important thing to interact with is the market system, where items can be bought and sold at pretty much any station, but your own character skills determines how many people can see and buy it. At the same time, when something is bought, it doesn't get delivered to you directly, you have to fly to the location it was sold from and pick it up yourself. The two biggest trade hubs are Jita 44 and the Amarr Royal Station respectively. Your proximity to these stations will have a massive effect on the prices you experience. A major part of what limits your character is that every tool and item you can use and interact with requires you to train skills on your character. This, however, takes a lot of real-life time, but will progress even when you aren't playing. So over time, you can still stack skills and use anything, so long as you can afford the skill books. The next big aspect of the game is the player-run industry. Everything you see, except for a few faction items and all of the Blueprint originals, are made and sold by the players themselves. Pretty much everything you buy, sell, and otherwise interact with is made and maintained by the players themselves. Because of that, player-run industry is a huge aspect of the game, and an essential part of the online ecosystem. Players have to mine the asteroid belts, crack moons, harvest planets, and explore the depths of space to find the resources they need to make everything else. This of course takes time, and in a lot of cases, risk, because none of the very valuable materials can be found in high security space. But we'll talk about security later. As I mentioned a moment ago, exploration is very important to industry. That is because scanning anomalies and hacking data caches is the only way to get some very rare and very valuable resources for industry. Well, you can make most smaller and cheaper ships easily enough. If you want the fancy stuff, you need to either explore for some of the components, or buy them at a massive markup at the local trade hub. The last major component of the game is the combat. There are 4 damage types, 3 health bars per ship, resistances, range and damage modifications, tracking, drones, scrambling, energy siphoning, and so much more. Every ship has special modifiers for different equipment, and you can either feed into it and make an amazing tool, or just throw random shit on it and be impractical as fuck. Like this one guy who put mining lasers on the capital ship. You can do these different aspects in a few different ways. There's doing missions for AI agents, improving your faction standing and getting better pay, but the missions get more and more difficult. Then there's doing everything with just the player stuff, not missions. Either hunting down AI enemy sites, exploring, mining, or engaging in PvP. Now that I've mentioned PvP combat and security, it's time we talk about the PvP and how it's contributing to the death of the game. Let's talk about the security system first though. Security is a measurement in every star system that determines the response time of the NPC authorities. In HiSec, engaging in PvP without legally requesting a duel or going to war will result in you getting shot within a few seconds and a lowering to your security stat, which acts as a public indicator of how trustworthy you are to the AI and other players. If your score dips too low, you'll be declared a wanted criminal and be shot on sight, and a bounty might be placed on your head. Your security stat lowering is guaranteed no matter where you are if you engage in non-legal PvP. However, in low-sec systems, there's no police to shoot you for engaging in PvP. There are, however, turrets at the gates who will shoot you if you do it in front of them. And then there's nullsec, where the only penalty is your security standing, because you're so far out from civilized space that player-run corporations and NPC pirate factions own the systems, and it might make right. And in wormhole space it's even worse, because you can't even see who's in the same solar system as you. I've talked about security standings, but how does that PvP aspect ruin the game for people? I mean, it's pretty easy, right? Just don't go into low-sec and null-sec systems and you'll be fine. Wrong. Because over half of the game's resources are only available in low and null-sec systems. They both get sold at extreme markups in high security space. Now you might be thinking, well, I'll just go to war and fight the people in nullsec and take a system for myself. You'd be fighting groups of players that have had over 20 real life years to grow, entrench, and build up wealth by beating up new players and weaker corporations. And that's part of the issue. This game has been running for so long, with its core groups so well established and deeply entrenched, as well as wealthy, that it's basically impossible for new people to get into it. Joining these groups is already difficult, especially for new players, and even if you do get to join them, you're just doing the grunt work for the bigger players, not what you really want to do, and not getting paid the best either. So one issue is the PvP and resource monopoly in the high value resource areas. But surely that's not all of it. There's plenty of other things that don't just ruin the experience for new people. You'd be right, except for the general culture of the player base as well. Groups that are tightly knit and kind to new people are rare. Most people are trying to scam new people and troll them constantly, making the game very uninviting from a multiplayer perspective. And the biggest issue in my opinion is how ruthless and outright hostile the players are to people trying to expand and grow their own corporation and ventures. This is what caused me to stop playing as much, and is why I only play sometimes now. And before I even came back to the game, I took a year-long hiatus from it. Let me tell you about my worst EVE Online experience that truly encapsulates why the game is dying. I had spent months grinding my ass off, saving up money and resources to buy the biggest industry station in the game, the Sodio. At 170 kilometers wide, it makes even 40k stations look like ants. It comes with a ton of manufacturing bonuses, and most importantly, is the only industry station capable of making capital ships, something I've always wanted to do since I started playing. However, capital ships cannot be made or flown in high security space. So my corporation and I scout out a low security system in a generally unused section of New Eden, completely empty and ripe for expansion. We even befriended a mercenary corporation who agreed to protect the station in exchange for supplies from us. However, when the time came, they never showed. Right when the station was about to activate, and while it was bringing its power core so that it could become active, and my personal supplies to move in, a group of pirates showed up, blew me up, stole my stuff, and ransomed my station at a couple billion ISK. Now as you can guess, I didn't have a couple billion ISK, I'd spent it all on the station. So it got blown up, and all my hard work and stuff had gone down the drain. I was so upset that I stopped playing for over a year. I lost all motivation and drive to keep playing. After all, what was the point when my hard work just went up in flames like that? Blueprints, collectibles, valuable resources, and my ships, all gone just like that. And there's nothing I could do but watch as everything I'd worked so hard for had been blown away and swept aside by those stronger than me who were determined to never let another group grow large enough to rival them. And because of that, I stopped. I was defeated, upset, and felt like there was no longer a point in playing. Everything just felt hollow after having all my hard work taken in just an hour. And that's part of why the game is dying. Everyone is either super built up and established, never letting anyone get close to their level so that they remain on top, or they're clawing their way up, trying to carve a name for themselves out of New Eden. People are leaving because of this, because all their hard work means nothing in the face of these massive corporations and alliances. And it makes it even harder for new people to join and get into the game. Because of the extensive amount of time and effort it takes to make progress, along with the hostile player environment, especially newcomers, it's not really a surprise no one wants to join, and why massive amounts of people are leaving. A few years ago, you could find about 50,000 players online at any given time. Now it fluctuates between 15 and 30k. EVE Online is bleeding out, and it's a shame to watch a game that's had such a big impact on so many lives slowly die out. Now that I've explained why people aren't getting into EVE Online, I should talk about things that could be changed to fix it. The first thing is something that the game devs have actually recognized and worked very hard to fix, which is the introduction to the game. They added some simple quest and reward activities for new people to be able to try new things and get rewarded for it, without fear of player or market fuckery as much. To fix the player issue, I think there should be harsher punishments for piracy and destroying people's stuff. After all, if you're doing something illegal, and when you are canonically immortal, just blowing you up isn't very effective. My proposal to remedy this problem is to take the offending player's money, either take it from them directly through their account, or make it a bounty placed on their heads that when they die they lose all that money. This fits because all currency in EVE Online is canonically digital, and as such, the central authority should be able to take it from the offender and give it back to the wrong party, be it upon death or just after they commit the crime. A second idea is to find a way to reduce the chances of these things happening in general. EVE Online's universe is shown to be ever expanding and changing. The main four empires expanding more into low-sec would be a great player event for people to work together to support their favorite faction, while also making it safer for players to work in those more resource-rich environments. Which leads to part 2 of this. Make rare resources more available in high sec. I'm not saying put it everywhere, but Isogen and Noxium are used in so many basic items but can only be found in nullsec, lowsec, and wormhole space, making it extremely expensive to buy. Making low-sec safer, decreasing the rarity of certain materials, and adding harsher punishments for piracy and being harmful to other players will go a long way to helping people want to stick around and keep playing. Which leads me to the biggest thing that could be done to increase player cooperation and make the game more engaging for people to stay in. An enemy AI invasion across New Eden, like the Warfronts in Helldivers 2. Now those of you that play EVE Online are just going to point out to the Deathless, the Triglavians, and the Incursion events and say that's where that kind of stuff can be found. It's too small scale. I want roving fleets targeting systems every few days. I want players fighting and clawing their stuff back from the AI. I want players to forge bonds through the fires of battle. Nothing unites people like an outside force or threat, and I think adding such an active one to the game would be an amazing way to keep players both engaged and making them work together. EVE Online is known for the scale of its PvP wars. Imagine the potential scale of PvE wars when the players are all working together. I love EVE Online, and I want to see it lasting long into the future, but it's kind of an unrealistic expectation. Games rise and fall, eventually fading away, just sitting in people's libraries as a reminder of the good and bad memories they had. EVE Online has meant so much to so many people, and the game devs do care about their player base. They've made monuments to players who have died IRL, or done truly incredible things. I believe they want to keep the game alive, they just have to figure out how. If you like this video and want to help me make more like it, please consider liking and maybe subscribing. It truly means a lot and helps me make more and better content for all of you. If you have any comments on EVE Online's declining state, or solutions to help fix it, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. My corporation, Sanguine Mist, is looking for new members, so if you're joining the game or returning, consider reaching out. I stream weekly here on YouTube and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BrotherCenterX on Wednesdays from 4 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a public Discord, link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care out there.